Do you guys know who Sequoia Turner is? No? She's an 8-year-old girl who was tragically shot in Atlanta by BLM, who were rioting outside of the Wendy's. Why don't you know her name? Because she was shot by a black person, because the media doesn't want to focus on black crime. They say that all black lives are precious. Do they go ahead and hold demonstrations in Chirac, in other words, Chicago, where people get shot up every weekend, where the murder rate is incredible? What about Baltimore? What about reporting on the black Nation of Islam member who ran into the Capitol barrier and killed a policeman in the process and then came out armed with a knife? Do they report on that? No. They report on a man who resisted arrest. They're going to try to frame him as an angel, Duante Wright. And let me get this out of the way. The man does not deserve to get shot. They were trying to tase him. The officer in question reached for her taser, pulled out the wrong weapon, and shot him with a gun.
20-year-old Wright is arrested during a traffic stop. He struggles free and gets back in the car. Then
this is absolute negligence and an example of when the police need greater training. It is not an example of racial bias, other than the media, which is turning this into something because it fits the narrative once again. Riling people up intentionally, getting them to riot, and then protesting when the chief of police in the city says it was a riot. No, it was a protest.
What was your decision to issue a dispersal order while they were peacefully protesting in front of the police station? What led to you to issue a dispersal order, and then on the back end of that 10-minute dispersal order, then to issue out CO2 canisters and gas for the crowd?
So,
can you talk to us about that?
Just so everybody's clear, I was front and center at the protest, at the riot. We did not.
It was a protest. Don't do that.
There was no riot at this
There was. So.
Yeah, in a protest, do you shoot bullets at a police headquarters? Do you throw things like the brick that hit an officer in the head that hospitalized him and frozen soda cans?
The officers that were putting themselves in harm's way were being pelted with frozen cans of pop. They were being pelted with concrete blocks. And yes, we had our helmets on and we had other protection gear, but an officer was injured, hit in the head with a brick. That was a Hennepin County deputy. He was transported to the hospital. So we had to make decisions. We had to disperse the crowd because we can't allow our officers to be harmed. And I've already answered the question, I believe, about your lighting. I know that's a big deal with you, and I understand that, but I thought I've explained that myself. So I told you it's my decision, and that's why I made that decision.
This is not a peaceful protest. This is an active riot when you do that. But of course the media is covering that. If you searched Google for Minneapolis riots, it was all about what happened last year, not about what happened this year. It's being suppressed. This woman will be going to jail in all likelihood. She did commit manslaughter. Was it a murder? Was it along racial lines? No, but that's what they are harnessing, and they are stirring the pot and getting everybody agitated, and the destruction that is going to come in these cities is obvious because you've allowed this monster to grow, because you said, hey, it's okay, we understand. No, it's not okay. It's never okay to destroy somebody else's business because something that you didn't like. And the media fanning the flames of racial animus, of course, as over and over again, oh, this should never happen to a black man. Meanwhile, everybody's donating their money to Black Lives Matter, and the woman in charge is purchasing multiple houses. The self-proclaimed Marxist goes ahead and purchases multiple houses. Once again, we have the narrative that is going to destroy America, and at some point people are going to rise up against this tide of totalitarianism and everybody coming out into the streets to destroy what has been built. You see, it takes people to create things. It takes time to do that, and it takes an instant to destroy what took years to create. You saw that in 9/11 when they took the planes and used them as bombs into the World Trade Center that took those buildings down. What takes many hours, it takes many years to create, is undone by virulent scumbags in a matter of minutes. And this is what's going on in America. What took 250 years to build, what took 250 years to build up to this point where there is very little racism, but the tiny bit that may exist is being turned into a magic tornado by the media and amplified to the point where everybody else believes that racism is around every corner. And when you do that, it actually does create racism with people that aren't racist, who feel that they are being mistreated, who feel that they are being told over and over again that they're racist. This ain't the way for us to go as a country. I want peace. I want unity. And yes, this woman will face jail time for what she did. Was what she did racially motivated? No. It was a case of a hoodlum. And yes, this is a man who had a warrant out for his arrest, who held a gun to a woman's head, who had her rent money, who had let him crash at her house, and he and his friend tried to rob them of the money and tried to choke them and put a gun to their head and demanded the cash. This is not an angel who just did nothing wrong. He also resisted police arrest. I don't want this man to have lost his life. I also want us to be peaceful about it. And when you go ahead and you destroy other people's businesses and livelihoods and you destroy their lives, and this is also a function of the lockdowns and the frustration that people have been feeling for the past year and putting the economy on hold, everything that the Democrats have been doing has been wrong. It's been wrong, and they're continuing to go at it incorrectly. And yet they get the support from the mainstream media, and everybody then sides. It's the recipe for the destruction of America. Goodness gracious. Let's be peaceful. Let's try to see people as individuals, as people, and realize that every single person wants to live their life in harmony and in peace. Peace.